Hey everybody, welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. My name is Josie and I'm so glad you stopped by to spend a little bit of time with me today. So last night and a little bit today has been a challenge. Not bad, not an emergency, but it has been a challenge. Late yesterday afternoon, I came outside to do some of my chores, feed Sadie and do some other things that I needed to do. And she got after something and I thought, what in the world? And she was pretty close to me and I thought she's gonna pull something out there and it's gonna come, especially if it was a skunk or a snake. I just thought, oh, what am I gonna do? And so she just kept going and kept going along all of my mineral tubs that I have set up so that I can get stuff planted in them. And here she came. She caught a field mouse, or a field rat, really what it was. And she just jumped on it and was able to catch it. And of course she killed it and left it laying there as a trophy. And I thought, well, that's pretty good. I'm glad that she did that. And I started to debate. I wonder if I could, I got her down and got her flea collar on her yesterday. The whole time she was pawing, trying to get away from me. But I got her flea collar on her, flea and tick collar. And I got to thinking maybe I could give her a really good bath and scrub her down and make sure she didn't have any fleas or ticks and make a house dog out of her. She's really smart. She's very loving. But there would be some challenges because she's always been an outside dog and she's not housebroke or anything like that. And so I questioned that. I also questioned the fact that she sheds some, and I just don't want to mess with that. But I let her in for just like 5 minutes last night while I contemplated for just a little bit having her as a house dog. She got a little bit rambunctious and had to go back outside. And it was about 20 or 30 minutes and I heard hers begin to growl. Not aggressive like I'm gonna really do some damage, but like a little growl. Just like a real short, and then she'd growl again. And then I heard one of the calves bawl. And it was in the front yard. So I went outside and here come two little calves around by the side of the shop. I have a little red motley faced calf, and it was born probably about a month and a half ago. And it is not scared. It walks right up to you. And that's not normal with beef cattle, that you're a lot of hands off. They won't just run off, but they usually don't just come walking up to you like, hey, you're my best friend. And then Sadie let out her little bark and the little calf went running, and so did the other. And they went down the road and it was starting to get dusky, but I could still see, and I went out and they ran. I knew if I took my farm truck and tried to get past them, Sadie would bark and chase them and she would have them clear down the road. So I walked down and opened the gate some. I didn't open it wide enough so that the cows could get out, but I opened it enough that I thought the little calves would be smart enough to get in the pen. And so I worked all evening trying to get them in there. And the mamas were getting worked up and Sadie was getting worked up, and I just fought with them. And finally the little red motley face one got in, and the little black one that was out, it just was determined it was not going in. And what happened would, Mama was on one side of the fence and he was on the other, and she would run down and he would run down after her to stay up with her, even though the fence was separating them. And I was needing to get him to come up and go in that open space. So finally I backed off and I thought, well, I'll let him go for a little bit, calm down, because he's worked up over Sadie barking at him. So I took Sadie and got her mind on something else. And he come up into the yard and he went over to the area that he could get back in. And the little red motley faced calf got out with him. So they were both back out. And they went up into this area. And finally the little black calf, he figured out how to get back in and he went right to his mama. But the little red motley faced calf, his mama's name is Patches, she was upset and she was worked up and she was going around. And you know, if you watched my video the other day when I showed you the roses and stuff, I showed you the side pasture that the heifers stay in. And Mama come running up in there and she was just having a fit, snorting and carrying on. And a couple times I thought she was going to jump the fence, and she was that mad and that worked up. And I thought, now if she jumps that fence, I have got to get out of the way, because she's going to get to anything that's messing with her baby. So somewhere along the way, I got the brilliant idea, you know how those go, to put Sadie in the house and coax this little calf, the little red one that's friendly, in through one of the gates. And I thought maybe if I did that, Mama would calm down a little bit. And so I was working with him and had him almost where he needed to go, and I heard this crashing noise. And Sadie had went into one of the rooms that I had the window up, and she jumped totally through the screen. Oh, it was a mess. But finally, the calves got back in with their mamas, and they stayed in with their mamas, and they're in there now, and haven't had any problems, any issues with them trying to get out today. I think that through all of this, that they're convinced that they want to stay as close to their mamas as they possibly can. So I ended up having to shut that window last night because I couldn't get the screen repaired right then. So I did some operations on the screen this morning, got it back. The frame was messed up. But anyway, I did the best that I could. That's the way I was raised, that you try your best to fix something if at all possible. I will tell you that, does it look beautiful? No. It looks like somebody patched it up. But I'm not too worried about it, because it won't be much longer. Sometime in May, I'll roll those coolaroo shades down, and from now till fall, when it cools back off after the summer, those you won't even see my screens. So I'm not too concerned about that. I fixed it to where flies and wasps and nothing else could get in either. And I'm gonna try my best. I did get my electric bill for last month. It was down to $135. I was so happy. I've been stressed over bills. We all have, haven't we? And I got that down to $135. And maybe some of you are thinking, well, that's about where my bill always is. Not mine. Mine is always higher than that. But I got it down to $135. I feel good about that. I went and checked my propane, and you guys, my propane needle hasn't hardly even moved at all. And I give God the glory for that. Now, you might think that I'm crazy as a loony bird, but I trust and believe that the Lord moves in those ways. I got the screen fixed. The shade will be going down probably next month. Just all I'm really doing for my AC right now, of course, we've been having temperatures in the 70s. There's been a couple of days that it's gotten up into the 80s, but we've been having so much rain and so much wind and breeze and stuff that I've been fine. Now I will tell you that at night I have a mini splits, and so I can do zones, and I don't have to run I don't run the big air conditioning unit at all. I just run those zones. And none of the zones are on, except at night I turn the one on in my bedroom to 70 in the times that it's really stuffy. I've got fans in there too. I don't like to leave my window open at night in my room because I have allergies, and it just seems like all that breathing in all night long, and the people go down the road, there's dust and just pollen and all the different things. So I don't leave my windows open at night. But anyway, I am just excited that the bill has come down. Now we're having our second day, you can tell, our second day of sunshine. Monday, and this is Tuesday, sunshine. Sunday was rainy. But after today, starts clouding up tonight, And from tonight all the way through to next Monday anyways, as far as I can see of the forecast, we've got rain chances every single day and a couple of days of storms. So the creek is running and the ponds are full, and we'll just take it as it comes day by day. Now I'm going to go out and show you the fruit trees. I know I showed you my flowers and stuff in the backyard and asked you a question about the plum tree, and so many of you were kind to give me advice on the plum and when you think that it's appropriate to move it and all of that stuff, and advice on pruning the big plum tree and what needs to happen to it. And I thought that I would take you over and show you some of my other fruit trees that I have, and I've got a couple of them that's got some problems. This is my little apple tree that Hallie planted, and I am not sure what it is, but I will tell you that I would almost guarantee that it's going to be a yellow apple. That was his favorite. This little tree actually has a lot of little apples getting started on it all over up into the tree. And this will be the first year, barring anything happen in a bad way, that we are going to have apples on this particular tree. We've had one or two, but this year, this one is really loaded. This is a peach tree, and last year Blade pruned this tree back. I'm not sure if I did put it on video or not, but this little tree is the one, if you've been with me for a long time, you know the story I tell about the heifer pasture and how we had all these little heifers. We probably had 20 or so heifers in this one little pasture, and something spooked them, and them gals ran and they stampeded. Now, I've seen stampedes on movies and all that, never saw one in real life, but I did that day, and they come through this fence right here, and they knocked over this cross that Howie had put up, tore the fence down, not all the way, but quite a bit, and then they broke this little peach tree, and we thought, oh no. And we done some digging around it, and we pruned it. Like I said, last year Blade pruned it really well, and this little thing is loaded with peaches. It had good peach crop on it last year, and I will tell you, they were so delicious. And this year I'm hoping for a bumper crop. Now, some of these peaches may have to come off of here, because this little tree, I'm hoping that you can see them, this little tree is just loaded with fruit. Now, this is my youngest pear tree. I have two. I have this one and I have another one that's giant, and they were loaded with not peaches, they were loaded with pears. And I will show you, we got that late cold snap and they got the pears. There are a few pears hanging on here, but not very many. This tree or the other pear tree, I don't think I'm going to have a very successful pear crop this year. I see these two little pears, and I'm not seeing anything else. Of course, they could be tucked in there, and I'm just overlooking them, but that's all that I see right now. But you can see going up through there, you can see all of that damage from that cold snap. This is my Arkansas black apple, and it got bit a little bit by that same cold snap. It's got some apples on it, more apples than what the pear trees have on them, more apple fruit than what it has more apples on it than what the pear does, but you can still see there's some damaged places. It is going to have apples, and I'm thankful for that, but it would have had more apples had we not got that cold snap. You can see like that. Now look, we've got some sweet little baby apples. And like I said, this is an Arkansas Black. I'm excited about that. Storage apple. And it won't be ready till fall. But it did get bit by that cold weather. You can see up in there. All of those, you can see up in there all of those damaged areas that I had fruit starting, and it's lost out. But thankfully there are some. This is my big pear tree. I don't want to make anybody sick, but you can see it was really damaged. All the way up is damage, damage, damage. And I've walked around and tried to eyeball it. Take you around this way. Now, Howie's dad's mowing his lawn, so I apologize for that, but it's hard to get any day out in the country, in the rural areas, that there's not noise. Just damage, all I'm seeing. The tree looks fine, but the places where the pears were doesn't look good. I wanted to show you what a difference, this isn't a fruit tree of course, but I wanted to show you what a difference a few days make. This rose bush is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely. Here's our red rose bush, and it's just flushed out. You can see that it's got more blooms to come, and if I keep this cut back, when the roses are done, I trim them off, it'll flush back again. Same with our little yellow rose bush. Everything is just popping, and it smells heavenly. You can see this bush has different stages. Buds, newly opened, and getting ready to go out. The wider ones are. So you can see on the pear trees, if I was depending on a heavy pear harvest this year, that I would probably be disappointed about what I'm going to get, because even here I can see that I can see all the trees, but that biggest pear tree is right in line of my sight here, and all the way to the top of it there's just damage from where the pear fruits were and the damage that cold snap did. We really need to ask ourselves if we can prepare in just one way and feel really comfortable about the outcome of it, what we can put back and what we can make sure that we have in our preparations throughout the next year. Now, I've demonstrated to you that the pear harvest is not going to be much, but then you see that the peach tree is loaded. Bugs happen and diseases happen. If you've ever grown squash or any of the vegetables that are in that family, you know that in just a blink of an eye, you can be getting beautiful, healthy squash and go out and your plant is all withered and you've either succumbed to squash vine borers or squash bugs. And they are mean and they are selfish and they eat up all your stuff and do great harm to your plants. And if you are depending on squash, now most of us, if we get them out early and we succession plant, we usually get more squash than what we want, because most people eat fresh squash. However, you can put squash up and you can do other things with you can freeze dry it, you can dehydrate it, you can pickle it. There's all kinds of things that you can do, but the challenge is making sure that you have more than one way to stock. That's not just food, that's not just water. You shouldn't expect to have water that you just go over and turn the water faucet on and you're fine. You should have some backups, backup for your water, for your food, And you may say, well, how do you do that if you're growing all of your stuff, or if you're one that buys all your things? You still need to have backups to your backups. When you grow a garden, you need to try to grow what you'll eat that season and then put the rest of it up for the future to come, the time to come. And take into account that this next year, last year we had a bumper crop with pears. This year we're having a failure with pears. But I still have some pears put up on the shelf. To have backups to your backups just simply means that you recognize that you may not have enough. I'm not saying hoard. Don't go and buy 150 packages of toilet paper or something like that. I'm just simply saying, try to have enough stuff that would make you, that would help you to make it through any kind of emergency that you might be facing. There's no shame in providing for your family. If you have to buy everything that you have from the grocery store or big box store or Amazon or whatever, there is no shame in any of that. And don't let anybody put their shame off on you. You're providing for your family. You're doing your job. Not everyone has space to grow a lot of stuff. You may have space to grow in your front yard or your backyard, but you're probably not going to grow enough stuff unless you have a big yard. You're probably not going to grow enough stuff for a big family, but at least you help provide part of what you need. You can always go to the farmers markets. A lot of the farmers markets are beginning to open back up, and you can find all kinds of stuff depending on what market you go to. And usually the bigger markets have more variety, but the small markets might surprise you. You might have a lot of things that you didn't see at the big markets. You can listen to the people around you and get in contact with people that are growing, that want to sell some of their harvest. And don't forget fruit stands. They are a little bit different than a farmer's market because they're usually always there. It's a business, and so they get fruits and vegetables in that they can provide to consumers. And we have one in Fort Smith that Cheyenne and I have went to on a number of occasions, and you're able to buy big amounts of stuff or just a little bit of stuff if that's all you want. In fact, I've got a project coming up with onions that Cheyenne and I went and bought a big mesh bag of onions last year, and we diced all of those up. We used some of it in our green tomato relish that we sell, and the others we diced up and we put up. And I have more that I am going to be making some different items with the onion when they're processed all the way through. So take advantage of the fruit stands. You'd be surprised that you can find all kinds of fruits and vegetables in season. You can find bulk big bags of potatoes and onions. And I think the one that we went to actually had someone selling eggs. You'd just be really surprised. And something that's really sticking out in my head is find those people around you that are doing something, that are growing things, that have something to offer, and purchase from local. Sometimes the prices are cheaper because they didn't have to pay shipping and they didn't have to do all of these other things to get product from point A to point B. And it's just really important to give some consideration to the fact that you may not be able to provide everything for yourself. Now, we all want to be self-sustainable as best as we can be, but we know the realities of that too, depending on how many people you have, that are there with you at your place, and how many are interested in farming and growing and raising animals, and all the processing time that has to go into it. It's a job. It's not just snap your fingers and it's done. It's a job just like any other job that's worth doing. And we need to take into consideration that what would we do if all of the things that I've showed you, my apple trees, my pear trees, which they've already been touched, but plums, strawberries, elderberries, all of those things that you're growing, And all of the stuff that you have out in your gardens, of course, we know with the heats before long, at least in my area, before long, the heat will get the greens, the lettuces and things like that, because it just gets too hot for them and they get bitter. But consider what you would do if you came out one morning and all of this stuff had been bitten by a late frost. Or maybe you had, you know, we've all been seeing all the storms that's been going all across, all of the storms that have been going across the country. And what if you came out and all of your stuff was destroyed? Think about the trees that you see in those tornadoes where they're just ripped apart and shredded. That can happen. And we just need to make sure, remember what they say, have backups to backups to backups. That's with everything. If at all possible, have your backups. If we're doing all that we can to provide for our families the best possible way, then all of these things that we're seeing, the promise of tariffs and the shipping issues and all of the different stories that come out that we get worried and worked up about. When we've got some insurance with our supply, then we feel a little bit better and we feel a little bit calmer and we can take the stress levels down just a little bit. Listen, Joseph, we talked about this the other day about Christians preparing, because a lot of people say, well, that shows that you have no faith. No, that shows that you have wisdom. Your grandparents and your great-grandparents stocked. They put up their stuff in their pantries and in their root cellars. They had fabric and they made things work and they stretched things and they patched and they did all these things, just like fixing that screen today. We are in, I will admit that it looks a little bit wonky. If we work and do our best and try to make things stretch and work in a different way, then we can save a little bit of money and put it back for times when we're really going to need it. I'm sitting here, that yellow rose bush that I showed you is sitting right here and the breeze is blowing it across here. And oh, it smells so good. I hope you enjoyed looking at all those rose bushes and what they've done in just a few days. All right, my friends, I am going to get busy doing something else and I will get off here. I don't want to fail though to tell you that I love you. I really do. Keep looking well to the ways of your household. And until next time, we're gone.